Good morning. I'm higher vibrations and so are you. Holy cow, what a week. Oh, it's been so many different things coming through. And increased ascension symptoms across the board. There was something strange that just occurred. It looks like it would have started on Sunday the 30th for my side of the hemisphere. Though it was probably a little before that. That was just for when it became, for me, incredibly profound. Where this time shift, time movement, pausing, starting over. There were Groundhog Day-like experiences, constant deja vu, and this all of a sudden noticing a lot of our old habits of old ways of thinking just popping back up, like as if they had been there all along. I mean, we're talking about such a great amount of time in between now and when those things were really common, at least in my experience. Like just a lot of like self-doubt, self-judgment, that kind of stuff, just the cycle thoughts. It was just like, go away, go away, go away. And it just kept coming. And what it was is this energy coming out, this energy being released. Like we've been talking about for so long, Archangel Michael is constantly talking about the need to remember to do this, that when these energies, when these memories, these moments that are uncomfortable to us, these emotions, when they come to us, what they're doing is they're coming to be seen. And that is all. In order to be released and no longer imprisoned in the way that they have been, they need to be seen and released. And so we acknowledge these things without judgment. And remember that judgment is not simply deciding if it's good or bad, but it's deciding anything about it. It's deciding rather than being in that place of trying to find a box or a label or something like that for it to go in. You were. And I see that. And now I release you, releasing with love, propelling, compelling that energy out with love as a momentum and giving it that. This occurrence happening kind of caught me off guard, and I found myself really struggling through the emotion of it. A lot of people are still having this sensation and this weird time slippage that's happening, feeling like 3 minutes actually felt like an hour in some occasions. And then the other way is more common, where it's just like, it's what day of the week? It can't be. Just this morning, it was Saturday. How was it Wednesday? You know, and that kind of thing occurring too. Sleep has been really interfered with. So little sleep right now. Oh my goodness. Exhausted all day, needing to nap, wanting to nap. And then I'm actually finding situations where I technically could have napped, but then I don't. And then the same thing happens at night. It's the time finally I can go to bed, and yet I'm awake. Here I am, still awake. And then finally getting to sleep. No matter how close to 3 a.m. I fall asleep, I'm up at 3 a.m. Usually it's 3:33. Or when I look at the clock, it's 3:33. So that's a thing that we're all having happen. This hum in the ground, a lot of people are just starting to hear it. They actually call this the Taos hum. I'll type it here so you can look it up. It's kind of interesting. What little information is given about it is illuminating in some ways. At 3 a.m., no matter what your time zone, then Gaia, the earth, hums. It sounds like a very powerful generator in the ground just outside your house that comes on. It's just a very large sound. And so that's just something that's part of this. I know that the guides and higher selves and these different energies that come in to assist us tend to show up around 3 a.m. And I got to say that since we're all so tired and getting so little sleep, it's kind of frustrating that that's when they do it. And it's still within the time that they come in. So a lot of times we're waking up from an interaction, the end of an interaction or the beginning of one. And so there's that sleep stuff. Not only that, but then we wake up after perhaps even getting rest and just still feeling so tired, like needing a nap from your sleep, having more lucid dreams, having better dream recollection, remembering your dreams maybe when you didn't before. I'm finding that every once in a while I go through a cycle of dream recollection in such a clear way that I'll pull back dreams from when I was a child, as if I just had that dream. And I'm actually doing that today with one in particular. It's just the most bizarre thing when that happens. And that's coming up right then at that moment, this moment, because now is the time that it can be most utilized. This is the time where that message was also meant for. It could have been very easily something that was a catalyst for you earlier on when the dream was had as well. However, right now is a time that can also be used. And so it's coming back. Also, many of us feel that if we don't recall our dreams, that we're not getting benefit from them. Remember, you are getting benefit from all these things. So incredible appetite shift. Just not having the desire to eat really at all. Like, this is becoming really a common thing. And what typically is something I do is I've shifted over the years while I've listened to my body. Your body tells you what it is that it needs and doesn't want. And I've learned that my body doesn't like breakfast, and then I found out later on after that it doesn't like lunch either. So I do what's called intermittent fasting. I don't eat until evening meal. Sometimes there's more than the evening meal had. I'm sure I get enough calories. However, I'm finding that when evening meal comes and goes, I'm still not into it, and it's not, I will feel hungry. I just don't have an appetite. The things that are available just don't sound good. And even in the store, nothing sounds appealing. And that's okay. Monitor your body, listen to your body. What does your body need? And sometimes it's not to eat. I do find this fascinating. So many of us are going through this loss of appetite, just not having an appetite anymore at the same time. We're moving into this Lionsgate. Well, technically, we're already in Lionsgate. We really are. We're already feeling it. We're already having a lot of transmutation occurring and starting. And with that, usually there's a period of fasting where one does not eat for a time. It could be for an afternoon. It could be for a day, the night before, something like that. It's very common and typical in many different religious, spiritual, different kinds of groups and things when it comes to some type of initiation or some kind of work that's done in a ceremonial way, is that there's a fasting period. And so I find that really interesting that we're all fasting, whether or not we mean to, right before Lionsgate. And there's another part of this, okay? Like, I've gone through both of them, is that there's also this, oh my goodness, I am so hungry, get out of my way. And so, then there's the binge almost, where you're just like, I think I'm going to have 3 dinners tonight, or whatever. And so just listening to your body, allowing your body to guide you. We're having a serious purge that most people are experiencing, where your bowels are being quickly evacuated. You don't realize how is it possible to have to pee this much? I don't drink that much fluid, though all of this going out stuff. We have a lot of weird sweat happening. The one that's right behind the head, that one still really intrigues me because it's just a perfect circle right at the base of the head where the sweat, and it's not to do with sleeping. Like, it's not like where my pillow goes or anything like that, and it's during the day a lot of times too. And we're noticing that the sweat that we're getting is sweat, though there's something different about its consistency. It doesn't feel like sweat typically does. And to me, that's showing, again, these are the toxins that I'm pulling out of my body, or it's being guided out of my body on the delivery system of the sweat. And then also we're having other pore related things. So we're having like a lot of strange acne still. This acne, a lot of people have reported that they've had some really unhappy kind of acne in the lower region. This is just out of the blue and has nothing to do with hygiene at all. It's just, it is. For me, mostly it's been around the ears, and it's kind of cooled it a little bit there, though I've noticed that it feels like there's something else there that's trying to come out, that's like a solid. So I don't really know what that's about. A lot of like the shaking, we're noticing like this internal shaking kind of stuff. It's shaking and vibrating. I don't know which word is the correct one exactly, because it's neither, but it's a motion, a movement, and typically it's within the torso region. So it'll often happen or start right about the heart area, below the heart, and go down. And this vibration that's happening often will then, if not regulated, will find its way through the extremities and things like that, that turns into different kinds of unpleasantness. It's just a thing that's happening right now as we're transmuting so much stuff. When you shine light upon density and heal it, it will vibrate. It will have this energetic response. And it's not vibrating, it's more like pulsing, beating like a heart. Though just very quickly, because there's so many of them. We're transmuting and moving out so many little orbs of light and helping them move through our circulatory system, our true circulatory system. When you look inside a human body with your third eye, it looks like fiber optics all the way through, in every limb, every digit, every place. It's just full of fiber optics, microscopic ones, saying that they're like a hair would be giving them too large of a size. However, in mass, as they move, they are so bright and so beautiful. However, what's occurred over time is that we've kept diets, we've kept lifestyles, we've kept certain behaviors that were in conflict with the motion of this light through our system. And so as we allow the light to begin to move in its natural way, in the way that's most advantageous to you and your body, then we find it's pushing out some of the density, some of the toxins, and the things that aren't helping you. And as that's moved out, there's a resistance, only because it's something that's been out of motion for some time. And so it causes a vibration sensation. It's not scary, but it can feel really uncomfortable, especially if you're trying to do something with fine motor skills. Allowing yourself to ground has been something that's really been a guiding force for everybody right now, just to ground and balance. The most frequent disturbance that I would say right now has been the anxiety, the feeling of just peril from others on the outside moving through us. And it isn't peril that we're truly sensing. It's just a subjective understanding of what it's like when you first wake up. We're feeling a lot of people right now. I've never felt this many people waking up at the same time. It's beautiful in its concept, but dang, it kind of sucks. It's really uncomfortable at first, right? And there's so much of it that I'm finding difficulty guiding it through. So, the most useful thing to know is that when in a grateful heart, even if it feels to be a forced grateful heart at that moment, it helps. It improves any situation and greatens your power and your strength. The power has always been great. It's simply your access to it is limited by you. We all do it. We do it when we're in moments where we think we don't have choices, when that is all that this is, a world of choices. You are the playwright. And so we're still having the ringing in the ears. We're still having the weird disorientation and not really feeling what direction is gravity going. And we're still having the vertigo and dizziness and just the imbalance kind of stuff. We're still having the shoulder, different parts of the back kind of stuff. Noticing a lot of organs on the right side of the body now shifting to the left in its concentration. Though not everybody. We're all on the same path. However, someone's 3 people ahead of you. There is no hierarchy. It's simply where you are on the path up to the mountain peak, right? And so, it's shifted for me into the left and then back to the right, back and forth now. It's kind of almost pendulum now, which feels more correct. Excuse me. Speaking of, there's a lot of this lung stuff happening, and it feels like the upper part of the lungs. It's a thing that's really, really common. A lot of people are talking about it all over the world. The fact that it started simultaneously from all kinds of continents really is validating to me. Having this lung stuff, we also noticed that there's been a lot of drainage in the sinuses and kind of sensation around the sinus area. And a lot of this stuff has to do with ocular, like headaches. We're also having third eye headaches. I'm noticing still that there's a lot of itchy stuff going on there, particularly when the energy is coming in. We're feeling the tickly sensation on the skin as well, which is also feeling energy, but it's kind of different. This is an activation, and this is a purging. So they're all happening in the same area at the same time a lot of times. Feeling the sensation of touch and interaction, again, with energies. It's really beautiful. Noticing things with your eyes, such as seeing light orbs, seeing the silhouette of a form. Like, it looks like a really faint glow around somebody, and you can't really see who's in there, but you can tell that the color is a little more, is like a darker shade of the color of the room and other areas, or it seems that way. We're just not able to fully see the form yet. Typically, the brightest part of any of these individuals, these beings that come through, is their aura. And so we'll see it first. I'm having a lot of throat stuff. Like, it's been happening for a couple of days, but right now it's really affecting me. A lot of us are having throat chakra stuff, heart chakra stuff, heart palpitations and things like that. And also in this throat mouth stuff, we'll have mouth trauma, dental things going on, weird sores in the mouth that could be called canker sores, all kinds of different types of experience with whenever we get a solar flare. Like, a solar flare will come in, and I'll notice that all of a sudden I have upper gum discomfort. It feels like I'm having a throbbing headache in my gums. And as we purge these sinuses down into this area, we're activating our heart chakra, our higher heart chakra, our throat chakra, and our third eye. This sinus activation and purging is activating everything. As it activates all of these higher chakras, the main concentrated ones that have been focused on right now, we're finding the need to create more balance into the lower chakras again. You know, a lot of root chakra related stuff. I found out a fun new word that explains what I've been trying to explain for a while. It's called a soulgasm. When your energy is heightened to a certain extent, it has a physical response that is very euphoric and pleasing. And this often has a lot to do with the root chakra experience as well as the sacral one. Working on these three chakras is very encouraged. Most of us ignore those three chakras. The sacral chakra is the center one of the three that I'm talking about. This is the one that has the most discomfort most often right now. That's the orange one, though above it is the solar plexus, just above the navel. This golden yellow chakra needs attention, as well as the one at the very base down into the pelvic region. You have the root chakra, which is that ruby red color. And so allowing yourself to work through this stuff, you'll find a lot of the associated organs to begin to find harmony again. And so you're not having as much bowel difficulty. You're not having quite as much, kidney, liver, gallbladder, pancreas. These types of things are soothed when the area of emotion and what that chakra relation is dealt with and looked at. This is a time for healing. It is Lionsgate, and what Lionsgate is the Syrian sun aligns perfectly with our sun, and in so doing amplifies all that is coming to us from our sun. Now, this is a typical thing that happens every year, and every year everyone feels it. Very often, that's the first gateway or portal that anyone ever hears about, August 8th. And now we're in this time where we're getting the flashes. We're getting the solar flares regularly. It's a daily uptick rather than a monthly. There are such an occurrence of solar flares that are already coming in to amplify our healing and our ability to access those healing energies. And Now we're getting the Syrian sun, which amplifies it by 10. So keeping that in mind, you're getting all of this stuff in order to create fertile healing ground so you may heal these things. That's why you're having what feels like flashbacks, moments appearing, whether you want to or not, in your head of shame, guilt, anger, irritation, these different random things. Sometimes they're not recognizable for your lifetime or a lifetime that you're clear enough that you had. It's stuff that's coming up to be healed, to be looked at, to be seen so it can be released without judgment. And so noticing these things as they pop up for what they are, that it's simply a room that needs to be cleaned, one toy at a time. So allowing yourself to pick the first thing up, whichever it is that you choose is correct, and to let yourself see it, and then for it to move, not to savor it, invest in it. In fact, what's being asked of you is to uninvest. The investment of any of these things, these identities, these labels, these needs to use trauma as a badge of honor upon one's shoulder has caused a limitation in your own experience. And many of us didn't want to do that anyway. When it came to discussing trauma, what we wanted to do was to talk about the whole story. But instead we were made to only talk about the parts that were the most appalling, shock-worthy, and the things that we were meant to express in telling the story, that we needed to be in shame, in remorse, and in anger, that we were supposed to feel violent against an individual, rather than allowing ourselves to heal the moment so it can be released. And then in so doing, so shall we. And so now here we are. We are all victims at some point. However, commitment to being a victim and living in victimhood is what imprisons us. It's doing it to them too. The energies are ready to leave. They're ready to go. And we're keeping them here against their desire. And so it's advantageous for all involved to release this, to let it go, and to allow yourself to then feel what it's like to be unburdened by it, by the limitations themselves or what's keeping us stagnant. And stagnation creates only distortion, disturbance. It's time to fly. Allow yourself to release it into the world, into the waters of God, and to go. And together we will stand as the powerful and mighty, beautiful beings of light that we all are. You know me. I know you. We've come here together. We are familiar because we are one. You were assigned. Yes, you volunteered, but among how many who were not picked? A lot. You were chosen, for you had the tools, the experience, the knowledge. You've done this before. You know how to ascend a planet, and that is to heal the density that was left behind, keeping it anchored in sadness. Come with us. Liberate this and allow yourself to also know your beauty, your power, and your great worth. I love you. I hope you feel that love. I'm with you. We're in this together. Thank you for your service. Aho blessings.